the next question is, where do I want to be? What am I willing to give myself permission to be based on my belief about what is appropriate for somebody who is, say, 30 days after leaving a relationship? How do I validate the intensity, the realness of that relationship if I don't mourn? So there's another aspect to this question, isn't there? Is that the suffering that we create for ourselves, whether it's a loss of a relationship or a loss of a loved one who decides that they don't want to be in a body anymore, you go, whoa, wait a minute. I might be self-inducing my suffering to validate my love. And is that really serving me? Is it true, and is it serving me? Okay, so how do I admit to myself that a love is real? How do I prove to myself that my love is authentic? That the experience that I had was sane? You know, am I nuts or not here? So when I'm removed from what I love, the degree to which I punish myself into this negative reality of negative emotions, suffering, the mourning, I believe, I as human, I as lower structure, ego, wood vibration versus the high one. This one says, I must suffer to prove that I'm sane, to prove that I really loved, and therefore this loss of the love is causing me to be miserable, because if I wasn't miserable, it would suggest that I didn't love, that I'm a faker, that I'm a poser. And there's nothing more horrible than to think that what you actually felt was inauthentic, right? And of course it wasn't. It wasn't. It really happened. It's really where you were, and as a part of you, really is vibrating on that frequency, still always will. And I think it's very liberating to accept. It takes a little while, especially when people are in the phase of hate, you know, to create the repulsion where you turn the magnet away. I'm never going to be able to get out of this relationship and stop fighting if I don't turn the magnet around and pretend I hate you. Convince myself that I hate you by the meditation of looping the negative aspects. In the same way that I hypnotize myself into falling in love with you through repeating and observing, appreciating, right, your positive aspects. I appreciate money, it raises in value, right? I appreciate love by noticing the details of your beauty, of the beauty of your consciousness, of who you really are, and looking beyond to seeing this I am within you, right? Well, I do the same thing by, you know, when I'm out of the relationship, I go, I hate this. I hate this person because of this. I'm angry at this person because of this. And I'm not saying you hate, but there is an element of repulsion. And I think we need to take a quick closer look, because what is that repulsion really? You know, maybe it's fear of hurting more. So if I get angry, I don't hurt as much. But my anger, what's under it? What's under my anger? I know that I'm sure that everybody's had this experience at one point or another, I hope, where you have been trying to work something out with somebody in an argument, a discussion, somebody that you're in an intimate relationship. I think is probably where this mostly happens, but intimate relationships can be family members too, where you're struggling and struggling, you're trying to be heard and they're trying to be heard, and neither one of is here because you're trying to shout louder than they are because you're using force and not power, right? If the louder one wins, well, neither one gets heard then, right? And I eventually fracture. I try so hard to be this strong, loud, powerful, I will be heard person because I'm right and I'm righteous. And I'm not going to hear you until you hear me. And I fracture it open because I can't do it anymore. Because I remember at the core of all of this is my pure love. And from the inside out, like a seed blossoming. It cracks open my anger, and I cry my eyes out, and I'm vulnerable, and I tell the truth. I tell the truth of how I feel. And then this anger that was insidious to my cells that eventually would even cause cancer in my body. That's what it does. Instead of that, I create this alchemy of my consciousness by becoming vulnerable. I become aware of how I really feel. And to do that in the context of the other person, where they end up doing the same thing, because always when somebody's mad at you, you fight back. But when they switch modes into this and they crack open and become vulnerable, in this new beautiful green thing called authentic love starts to grow again out of this seed, even though the forest burnt down, there it is, because it was always there. The vibration of love is always there. Once you give the love, it's always there. It doesn't have to be a marriage. It doesn't have to be a boyfriend or girlfriend, but it's two human beings that do share mutual respect, that do have aspects of each other that they love. And you at least have to walk away slowly, backing away like this into your new thing, but you're always in relationship. You just might not talk to her for 20 years. But on the way out, it's a namaste. And it's a heart-opened release, where at the end, there's a genuine hug. There's a vulnerable hug that validates more than the suffering does.